This video is about my kitty, who I lost about a year ago. Hi, this is my channel, The Weather in Space. I'm Aja. This is my space where I talk about the unexplained and the paranormal, because I want to. Well, I guess it makes sense to start off by telling you about my kitty. So several years ago, I was working at an office and my coworker, her mother had to move out of her apartment complex and she had a cat that she couldn't take with her. So she knew I already had a cat and she was like, "Oh, don't you think you want a friend for your cat?" At the time, I didn't want another cat, but I'm the type of person, it's hard for me to say no. And I saw a picture of him and he was so cute. He's this little fluffy tuxedo kitty and his name was James Bond. I did have to drive a while to get him. It was like an hour there and an hour back, and poor little thing, I found out just then that he gets car sick. But when we got him here, he adjusted really well. I think he liked the fact that we had a backyard. I don't know if he's ever played in one before, but oh, he loved ours. He was climbing trees, he was hanging out under the porch, he was loving it. So we had him for a couple of years, but then things took a turn when he came back from his regular checkup and dental cleaning, and he hid under the couch and he didn't come out for days. We really didn't know what to do. So like after 5 days, we took him to the emergency care. And that's when we found out he had mast cell disease, which is a type of cancer. It was like September at that time. The vet said he wouldn't be around for Christmas. But we weren't ready to put him down just yet. So we were like, well, let's bring him home and at least have some time with him before he has to go. And the amazing thing is he pulled out of it. He was a little slow at first, but then he slowly started kind of becoming himself again. My husband had a lot of faith in him. He was like, "James, stop playing. Come on now. Come on, James, stop playing." He really didn't want to eat solid food. The only thing we could get him to eat was those like delectable bisque things. We call it slop because it looks like slop. But that's the only thing he really wanted to eat. And we're like, "You know what, James, you're on borrowed time. If that's what you want to eat, you have as much of it as you want." Yeah, James went on to live for like another 3 years. But things took another turn when, oh, what was it, about March? He was kind of having an episode. He was throwing up, panting, he was having diarrhea. And so we took him back to the vet where they told us the same thing. They told us it was time to put him down. And once again, we said, well, let's bring him home and we want to spend some more time with him before we have to say goodbye. And he kind of came out of it again. I mean, he wasn't his old self. He was a little bit slower, but he did still like to, hang out in the yard and he was still like affectionate. He wasn't hiding anymore, but he did develop seizures. And when we took him to the vet, we also realized then that he had kidney failure. So we knew it wasn't much longer for him, but we still had trouble saying goodbye. And he didn't seem like he was in pain. Like I said, he was his old self, but just older. We knew that it really was time when he had had a seizure and he got really lethargic for like the next 2 days. And then when he kind of got over that, he lost his sight, which we learned later on happens with older cats when they have seizures. So once James couldn't see anymore, we said, it's definitely time now. So we did it in what we thought was the best way possible. We know he gets car sick. I didn't want to have to bring him to the vet. So we found a vet that did house calls. So the vet came, we gave him some delicious snacks. First she sedated him and then she administered the whatever it is that actually puts him to sleep. And we buried him in the backyard because he's part of the family and we put a little headstone there for him. So I was hoping that after he passed, I would get some kind of communication from him. Like, my brother, he's always had this thing where if a family member or a pet dies, they kind of come and visit him in his dreams. It's kind of happened to me, but not as often as it does with him. Jerk. But I did have dreams where James came to visit me. The first dream, I was heavy into what was going on. You know, one of those dreams that you don't know you're dreaming. And I'm going through the house and there's an empty box and James is laying in the box and I'm just kind of walking around and I'm like, James is back. Hey, hey everyone, look, James is back. And then like, I just kept going on with the dream or whatever. So then the second dream that I had with James, it seems like with each dream I became more aware of what was going on. So the second dream, for some reason, it took place in a bar. And I'm sitting there chatting with people at a bar, and all of a sudden James kind of like jumps up on the counter, and I'm like, James, what are you doing here? I'm like, you're dead. Like, what are you doing here? And I'm kind of looking around at the other people in the bar. I'm like, do you see him? So I said, okay, next time James shows up in my dream, I'm gonna try to talk to him. So the third dream that I had with James, we were in the house and I'm sitting on the floor and James walks up to me and I'm like, oh, James, I miss you so much. And I'm giving him pats and I'm telling him how much I love him. And like I said, with each dream, I become more aware of what's going on. Well, in this dream, I was aware that James was with me and I could talk to him. But I guess I was also aware that he was dead and decomposing because when I patted him, I could feel the dirt in his fur and his nose looked like it was starting to decompose. So in the next dream, this is dream number 4, James and I are kind of walking around outside and having a conversation. And like so many dreams I have where I feel like I'm having a conversation about something important, I only remember a little bit of it. The only thing I remember is I asked James if he likes where we buried him. And James said, yes, I feel protected. So did the dreams bring me closure? No, because I'm that kind of anxious, worried person. So I said, well, the dreams were great, but what if I try to communicate with him through meditation? So I'm sitting in my meditation room, which has these 2 big windows that kind of face the backyard, and it was nighttime. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to open up and concentrate on James to see what kind of communication I can get from him. And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of waiting for any kind of impression. And the impression that I got was that James was kind of just sitting next to me on the floor. And as I sat in the meditation, I got the feeling that James was kind of looking out through the windows and looking at the night sky. And more impressions were starting to come in. And the impression that I got was that what James had been doing since he passed was hanging out in the backyard. And I kind of saw him, like chasing the birds and chasing the butterflies. And at night, him laying in the yard and looking up at the sky and looking at the stars in the sky and just kind of like marveling at how beautiful they are. And the overall sense that I got was that he definitely was at peace. And the last dream I had pretty recently, and it was like James kind of came back to say hi, but he wasn't James anymore. He was this other animal. I don't even know what animal it was, but it looked like some kind of woodland animal that's probably, I don't know, like what, 1.5 feet tall, thick fur. But I knew it was James because like half of his face still looked like James. I took that to mean that James probably had gone on to incarnate as something else. But still, because, I still miss him a little bit, he was coming back once again to say hi. But I'm grateful and very happy that I had several chances to say goodbye to James and tell him how much I love him. Still miss him. He was a sweetie. He had so much personality. And my other cat is actually here with me. I don't know why he decided to join me. Maybe it's because he knows I'm talking about his brother. But I had made another video for social media about James's miraculous recovery. They gave him 3 months to live, but he ended up going on another 3 years. And I just wanted to make a video to commemorate that. And I made that video about 4 months before we had to put him down. And he ended up dying at the age of 17. And yeah, here's that video. This is my kitty, James Bond. We got James when he was 10. Now he's 17. And I'm making this video for him because he's actually not supposed to be here right now. A few years back, James just stopped eating, and we took him to an emergency vet. That's when we found out he has a type of cancer called mast cell disease, and it causes these lumps or tumors on his skin. They told us he had 3 months, tops, and that was almost 3 years ago. And just last spring, we also learned that he might have an appendicitis and that one of his kidneys was atrophied. So it was a quality of life question at that point. But James? Well, James is the cat version of No Time to Die. So yeah, he's back to his old self. He still plays with his toys, does some sunbathing, terrorizes his brother, and he's working on his singing career. James said, "I can die another day." But this is our little fuzzy butt, and we're making sure he's happy and comfortable for as long as he's still with us.